Welcome to the InfraScale Podcast, the show where local businesses meet next-gen automation. Every week, we flip the mic. One episode, it's AI and advertising. The next, it's AI and operations and infrastructure. No Silicon Valley hype, just real, usable insight to help contractors, service pros, and storefront owners scale smarter. This is where local business catches up and gets ahead. And in today's episode, it's our first episode here on the InfraScale Podcast. My name is Zechariah Zanders, and this is my co-founder of InfraScale, Rob. And we're just going to be giving a little background about ourselves, how we got, how we even got here, what InfraScale is all about, and how this podcast is geared to help you in your business, not 10 years from now, but today. All right. So we'll dive right in. So we'll start with my background. For the past 6 years, I've been advertising, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads. I've managed over $16 million in paid advertising for different companies, brands, even global companies, all just independently, not employed or anything like that, taking the entrepreneurial route. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's definitely been a journey. And the one thing that I've learned that's very key, and a lot of local business owners wonder this because they're like, man, I've been burned by a lot of agencies. Like, I've tried running ads, it didn't work, and different things like that. Something that I've learned is key to understand when it comes to advertising is messaging. It's really easy. And it's really easy now to get the targeting right because you don't need to do a lot of stacking interest or having the craziest keywords or anything, because a lot of these platforms are utilizing AI to help your ads deliver a lot smarter. But what happens when your ad gets in front of the right person, but you don't have the right message to trigger that person to want to click, book a call, fill out a lead form, or what have you? It could even be downloading an app or purchasing something off of your funnel or e-commerce store, depending on who you are listening to this. And so messaging is key, copywriting is key, and making sure that you really understand your audience in a way that doesn't sound too corporate, too stale, too sterile. They feel like they're connecting to not a corporation or a company, but a brand. And that's the key difference there. And so I've spent that time, and now, inside of InfraScale, I'm taking those talents and we're utilizing those talents to get in front of local business owners like yourself through advertising as well as through this podcast so that we can help. Because something that Rob and I realized is, hey, there's a lot of AI talk. AI is the next it's bigger than the dot-com boom back in the early 2000s. And the industries that we're seeing have the most success with AI beyond just simply using ChatGPT are typically industries that are not local businesses, sometimes not finance, sometimes there's certain corners of tech, there's certain corners of healthcare, different industries that are kind of being left behind in terms of the progression. And so we're here to change that. We're here to change that mode so that you can get ahead and take advantage of this in new ways beyond saying, hey, ChatGPT, how do I run an ad? Or hey, ChatGPT, how do I get more customers? That is a way, and it can be effective, but it's not the only way. And so I'll go ahead and let Rob take it over before we get into what specifically we do now at InfraScale.
Yeah, so hey, everybody. Excited to be here. My name's Robert Petrie, and really my background, I started off in advertising for a local service business that I owned, but that quickly transitioned as I wasn't a super great marketer. I was good at getting leads for a small local business, but really I started to work on how we can manage those leads. So just as important as it is to get leads into your business, it's really important to actually be able to hit those leads and get the most out of them. So a lot of companies, they jump from marketing company to the next, and they get leads, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Sometimes every marketing company they work with offers them a lot of leads, but those leads aren't getting contacted in time. They're not being managed properly. Most of the time, us local business owners, we don't have a super big sales team. Most of the time, it's just us or us and a partner, maybe one sales guy. And with a lean sales team, it is very difficult to manage your lead flow. So what I did was I started designing CRMs, building out automations. And for those of you who don't really understand what I'm talking about, what that means is I've built a sales system that manages your leads, shows you exactly when they come in, exactly who they are, where they came from. So most of the time they're going to be coming from one of those meta Facebook forms that Zechariah would be putting out there, or a Google form. And then they end up directly in your system. And then instead of you having to be staring at your phone all day waiting for them to come in and give them a call, we know you're focusing on the business, the things that you're good at. And because of that, you have to have things in place that get touch points with that potential client really early on. So that could be an automated text message, an automated email, tons of things. The other thing that a lot of people don't talk about a lot is, maybe only 15 to 20% of your leads are going to be reachable on that first dial or that first message. 60% you're going to have to hit an average of 27 times before they want to buy something from you. They're either going to need to see an ad from you 27 times, receive a phone call from you 27 times, or a combination of a lot of things. So automated messages, automated emails make it a lot easier to reach that number. And then the other 15 to 20% we don't worry about, they weren't going to buy anyway. But if we can optimize that middle space and optimize the people that are going to buy, well, then you're making good use of your leads. You're not throwing money down the drain, and you're increasing your revenue, not just increasing your ad spend, which obviously is most business owners' goal. So I've taken that system in a local business. I've moved it to a nationwide ad. Zechariah and I have worked together on online service-based businesses together, doing the same thing for ourselves and the same thing for our clients. And I'll tell you what, this works. Most local businesses just don't have any systems in place. They're running on word of mouth with one secretary, and some referral business. Even the ones that are doing marketing, it's very lackluster. They don't have the whole system in place. Maybe they just have one piece of the puzzle, but we're really here to break down how that all comes together, and now has got even better with the use of AI. So like Zechariah said, a lot of these service-based local businesses aren't utilizing AI. You have big private equity-backed companies or companies with massive revenue that understand the importance of how AI is going to reduce their costs, which is really all they care about. So they're investing in proprietary things. They're investing in big AI companies. But what about the small guys? What about the local businesses? Are we just going to wait for everybody to get purchased up by these guys? Or do you guys want to be around for the long haul? And if you want to be around, I'll tell you, if you don't have a big sales team, if you don't have a marketing wing in your company, if you're not utilizing systems, well, this is the best time, because it's easier now than ever before. And with simple systems that utilize AI to drive your marketing and your sales team's functionality, you can go from a small business where you're doing it all, or maybe just doing 50 to 70% of it, to somebody who can actually focus on strategy, focus on improving the business, focus on bringing in the right employees that are going to help you grow. And when I mean the right employees, I mean the employees that provide the service. So if you're in the home service industry, let's say you're an HVAC, that may just be more techs, not more sales guys, not a marketing director, but people who are going to do more jobs, and you just let AI take care of everything else. and you just focus on doing the jobs. And we're going to get into how exactly that works. I don't want to overwhelm you in one message, but really, Zechariah and I came together from our expertise on both sides of the business, marketing and sales. Without those two things, and without a system in place to manage them, you don't have a business. You can't get in front of people on a consistent basis and let them know who you are. Well, your competitor is going to be doing that. And if you're a local business, that means a lot of revenue lost for you. And if you don't have a sales team in place to be actually capturing those leads and making the sales, well, people may know about you, but they still may go with somebody else because that person has reached out to them. Simple as that. So I'm excited to be here, excited to talk about AI and how it serves the smaller businesses and even the medium-sized businesses, but really just the local market. And I know Zechariah is as well. So now that we've introduced ourselves, we're going to get into some simple topics and we're going to go from there. And we plan to give you guys a lot of information with nothing really to sell you at the moment that's just going to make your business better. Really, that's what we're trying to do here. Real quick, guys, today's episode is sponsored by InfraScale, the AI automation partner built for local business owners. Whether you're a contractor, a dentist, a gym owner, or you run a family-owned service company, we help you stop chasing leads and start scaling with smart systems. From follow-ups that are never forgotten to bookings that happen 24/7, we install the kind of automation that used to be reserved for big tech. You can learn more by clicking the link in the description below or visiting infrascale.ai/register. That's infrascale.ai/register. If it sounds like a fit from there, you can book a call with our team and have a transformation AI automation solutions plugged into your local business today.
So, Rob, now, if I'm watching this podcast right now, I'm wondering, all right, man, okay, I got to get an idea of these guys' background. They sound quite experienced and like they know what they're talking about. But is InfraScale advertising? Does InfraScale do AI? Like, does InfraScale sell CRMs? Like, what does InfraScale do as a company? And how do they help me, the local business owner?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question, Zechariah. So InfraScale really focuses on AI employees, right? And the two AI employees that we focus on is voice and message AI employees. So these voice and message AI employees are designed to call and message your leads once they're in the system. So the important thing to understand about that is for these AI employees to be working efficiently, you need a lead source, right? So there's some companies out there that may have a lead source, they may be marketing themselves, or they may hire a freelancer, or they may be having a company doing their marketing for them. I know there's a ton of companies like Angie's List that are sending leads to local service businesses, home service businesses. But if you're in a different market, like a gym, usually gym owners, I know from experience, they have a marketing team. They have to be marketing. If they're not, they're quickly going to run out of capital. So because of that, whatever marketing that's being done is going to be driven to the sales system where these AI employees can work. So although we focus on AI employees, we really get you from A to Z if you need it. So we do offer marketing services that's backed by AI, designed to drive leads to a sales system that's designed by us that we've been designing for years. And within that sales system lies the AI employees, which are going to handle everything after the lead comes into your system. So that means calling, messaging, outreach, 7 days straight until they turn that lead into a booked appointment, a booked sales call, a booked quote, or a booked job. It really depends on the market. We tweak the messaging and tweak the prompt. So what I mean by prompt is every AI employee works off of a base level of information. So they need to understand your business. Once they understand your business model and what their goal is, so if their goal is to book a job, that's what they're going to do. If their goal is to book a quote, that's what they're going to do. If their goal is just to book a sales appointment, that's what they're going to do. So once they understand their job, from there, they don't need any other information from you. They have the conversations, they learn based off of the current conversation they're having, and they become smarter with every single dial, every single message. But you can throw anything at it, and it's going to sound and respond exactly how the business owner would, with full knowledge of what the business does and full knowledge of what its goal is.
Okay, so now, I still got my local business owner hat on. So now I'm wondering, okay, this sounds cool. So you guys, if I don't have the proper advertising or I'm not satisfied with my current, inbound advertising, marketing systems, lead generation, you guys can help with that. So that's great to know. And then on the back end of that, there's AI texting and calling people, following up or booking appointments or even jobs, depending on my business. Now, I may be wondering, does the AI sound like Siri? When they're on the phone, when it's on the phone with someone, does it when it texts, does it sound like clearly an automated response? What if that hurts my brand's reputation? What if I just kind of fall to the bottom of the pile in people's cell phones? Sure. They go, oh, here's somebody else trying to sell me something. How does InfraScale, answer to that?
Sure. Yeah. So that's a great question. And I'll really touch on a few things here because I think a lot of local business owners have the same concerns. Most of it is just, a desire to avoid the change that's already coming. And not a full understanding of what's already here, how strong AI already is. So to answer your question initially, our AI, when you speak to it, sounds like a real human. If you don't believe me, you can click a link that's going to be below, and you can listen to how our AI works in a quick explainer video of how our AI systems sound and how our AI systems help drive business owners' revenue. In that video, you'll hear a conversation between Zechariah and our AI that we designed, Jackie, and how she communicates with a lead that just came into the system. So sounds exactly like a real human, just works longer, works harder, and has better responses most of the time because she's not going to get cranky. She's not going to get tired or hungry. And she has all of the information that she needs to provide the best response possible. When it comes to messaging, even better. I mean, there's no voice involved. So it's going to be giving very thorough responses, very thoughtful responses. It's going to do its best job to answer any questions or to provide any information that the prospect may need to make a decision. But really, a few things here is that local-based businesses, what we've seen from research, not everybody wants to adapt, right? Even in the dot-com bubble, people were against creating a website. People thought that they didn't need it. People thought that the internet was just a trend, that it wasn't going to be here to stay. And you see this revolution happen over and over where business owners are stubborn, especially if they're doing well enough to provide a good living for themselves. They think they don't need it. Here's the truth. Even if you're dominating your market right now and your competitors get a hold of AI before you, they're going to scale faster and smarter, and they're going to be working 24/7 against a business that's only open from 9 to 5 and only working with the capacity that it has. You know, AI has the potential to do two things, really. For some companies, it has the potential to create an entire wing in your business that wasn't there before. It has the potential to replace that wing, or it has the potential to work side by side with that wing and improve it. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to replace your sales team, you think that humans are efficient in the sales process, well, I agree with you. You shouldn't replace them, but you should still be using AI to strengthen the value of your sales team. You know, you have AI booking your appointments, but you have a human closing the deal. If you're somebody who doesn't have a marketing or sales team at all, well, you're talking about instead of hiring 15 people, you have 2 AI employees that do it all for you. So really, for decisions that weren't easy to make for you and your business, like, oh, I don't want to give up all of this cash flow that I'm receiving from my business to hire all of these people. I'd rather just do it myself. You just cut your costs by like 1/15 to give your business what it needs to grow or to succeed. And you know, there's a lot of other thoughts there, but really that's the general idea I wanted to put out there, is that you need to be willing to adapt with what's coming, because it's already here. Businesses are adapting, and AI is only going to grow exponentially from here. Now that it's here and there's really no gates holding it back, it's going to continue to grow. Companies are going to continue to invest. And before you know it, it's going to get crazy. Some of it good, some of it bad, but you need to be able to adapt.
Yeah, and I like what you said, you know, about there are some local business owners they're absolutely dominating the market, whether their market is in a small kind of rural area or suburban area or a big metropolitan. They're dominating, but they're relying on what allowed them to dominate from 10, 15, 20 years ago. And now you've got this new wave of technology that's absolutely going nowhere. That's just coming in and changing the game. And it reminds me of two things. It reminds me of one, a classic example is Netflix and Blockbuster. Mm-hmm. It's like Blockbuster. I remember being a kid going to Blockbuster Friday nights, pick out a movie. We go home, eat pizza, watch movies, plug in the CD. Blu-ray was the rage and back then. And then Netflix came along. And first it was, hey, we'll deliver it to your house instead of you having to go out. So, and then it was, hey, you can actually just have an app on your TV. And, what happened, Blockbuster, they didn't adapt, right? And so now they're just, our kids will never know who Blockbuster is, It'll be a weird thing that old people talk about, to them. And so, and it reminds me of too, there's this book called Who Moved My Cheese that actually, when I was a kid, my dad told me about, and I read because he had it. And basically in the book, if you aren't familiar, you're listening to this, you're not familiar with it. The book, the simple premise is there were 4 different rats or mice, and they were each given cheese and fed at a certain time every single day. And then slowly in the experiment, what happened was, let's say we'll just keep it simple and say there's rat A and rat B. So rat A, once the cheese was moved, went hunting for the cheese. Rat A realized something changed, and let's just say he for simplicity, needed to adapt and go figure out where the cheese is. Mm-hmm. Right. And whereas rat B was stubborn and the cheeses always come at this time every single day. It's going to come back, and it's going to come back. It's going to come back, and never figured it out. And unfortunately that rat didn't survive, didn't make it, right? And then there are other rats where it's like one took longer but eventually figured out, the cheese is gone, I need to go figure it out. So it's like it started starving unnecessarily, but it did end up eventually surviving just barely, right? And so forth. And so it's understanding that in business, even local businesses, even in markets and industries that are fragmented, meaning, maybe right now, like Rob, you mentioned private equity earlier, maybe right now, all these bigger companies haven't bought up all the local businesses. So it's still quite fragmented. It's not centralized. It's really important to get these systems in place. And because the world's changing and things are changing, and it just takes one company to come into your market and do what you may not be willing to do. And then you become a, name of the past. And so I really love that point that you made there. And so now I might be thinking as a local business owner, okay, this makes sense. This sounds great. And Rob, you did touch on this in terms of the big concern is AI replacing human beings, right? Sure. And obviously, as you laid out, you can have your AI work to complement your, say, for example, sales team. It doesn't have to replace them. But then there's the case of the business owner that may not have the sales or the marketing team. It's just they're kind of doing everything on their own, or their team is very lean. And the concern may be, well, if I bring in AI, then I'm not hiring people, and then back to the same situation. So to that concern, like, how would you answer that concern?
Sure. Well, I'll just take it back to my first introduction to AI in our business. And so when I first realized how strong AI is I actually took a sales call with a company that was designed to just help improve a little bit of our messaging and our automation, help drive more booked calls. And I got on this call with a very big company based out of Australia. And at the time, they determined that our performance in our automations was working really well, and our ads were working really well. So they didn't think that they needed to partner with us, but I explained to them how lean our team was. Just 3 people basically doing all the work. And that my one concern was that our lead to booked call ratio was quite low. We were getting a lot of leads, but even with automations in place, we were hovering around, 30 to 35%. So he introduced me to another company that actually was an early company for AI messaging. And they mostly worked with people who were advertising via social media. So basically warm social media accounts that were doing organic marketing, meaning they were just posting content. And with their content, they would say, message me sales below, or direct message me sales, and I'll send you my free PDF, or I'll tell you how to do this. I'll tell you how to do that. So when somebody who was watching their content would direct message them, that direct message would trigger an AI employee to have a message conversation with that prospect. Now, we weren't doing organic marketing. We were doing all paid marketing, but they were able to integrate this into our system via our CRM, so that on the first automated message we sent out, the AI employee would then start a conversation after the response was received. And if a response wasn't received, then it would try reaching out again via the automations. And as long as the lead responded to one of them, then it would take over the conversation itself and basically book a sales call for us. And when we implemented that, our conversion rate from lead to booked call went up to around 75%. So, you're talking about 3 booked calls out of every 10 leads to 7. And if you guys understand closing rates in your business, that's massive. You're doubling your chances of getting a closed deal based off of 10 leads. And for us, we were still selling via humans. There's still 2 salespeople. And we were still doing all of the service that was actually being provided. And look, at the end of the day, we all get into business to provide a service. Nobody ever thinks that when they start a business that they're going to be doing the marketing, they're going to be doing sales, they're going to be providing service. I mean, it's just impossible. Why would you want to own a business where you're working 15 hours a day, 18 hours a day. You get in the business to provide freedom to yourself, to provide a better living for yourself. But most of the time, people are getting in the business to not have to work 12 to 15 hours per day to have a really good living. So with that being said, you can use these AI employees to make your processes more efficient and to remove yourself from things that are redundant and not really necessary for you to have success while limiting your costs. I mean, it's a win-win-win. Most of the time, local businesses do not have massive sales teams where they would be replacing, 15 people who are just calling to book appointments. If you do have people who are calling to book appointments, we'll train them to be a sales guy, get the AI in to book the calls, and have them close the deals. You don't have to get rid of them, just put them into a more efficient place where AI hasn't even got to at this moment that I know of to do the job. People still want human touch, but you in the 5 minutes that you're making a call to a lead to book an appointment, the value that's being delivered by a human versus AI is minuscule. So if you can be there to provide the actual value, which is either the service or the sales experience via closing, well, then you have the best of both worlds and you're going to grow. You're just going to grow. It's the best way to put it.
Yeah, that was a great response. And then the last question someone may be wondering is, okay, hey, this sounds good. This makes sense. How, like, if I wanted these systems in my business, like, how would I get in touch with you guys? How does that look like? How do you guys work with me? And what would that look like?
Yeah, sure. So, there, like I said earlier in the episode, there's going to be a link below in the description. You can click on that link. That'll take you to our website or our landing page, and it will take you through a few steps. We do require some additional information from you, just simple stuff, name, phone number, email, and then you can watch a short explainer video of how exactly our AI is designed to work, what we do, and it's more of the information that's designed for people who are looking to purchase things. This podcast is there for general information, but if you want a short video on exactly how our systems work, well, that's a video you have to watch. Right after that video, there will be a calendar to book an appointment where either Zechariah or myself will get on with you and answer any questions you have, learn a bit more about your business and how exactly we can take you to a company that's not using AI to utilizing AI to grow your revenue. That's the goal. And, provide you with 2 wings, marketing, sales, or only one if you only need one. But really, we're here to drive your revenue. So that's how you do it. You book an appointment in the link below, go through the steps that I explained, and Zechariah and myself will reach out to you and be happy to connect.
Yeah. And one thing I'll tack on to that too is, having these kind of systems in your business drives your revenue and drives profitability because you reduce redundancies, your team and you, if it's just you or you and your team are able to focus more on the revenue driving tasks while reducing the costs on handling lower value tasks, right? And so it's in that cost reduction there, you start driving profitability. And as you drive more opportunities, its revenue profitability goes up. And if you just simply want to build a business, pass this on to someone or whatever, you're not only setting yourself up in a better position now, but someone later, let's say you want to sell your business someday, right? That's one of the things investors are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at, I won't get into technical terms, but they're basically going to be looking at, okay, before depreciation, taxes, amortization, all this stuff, earnings, or not earnings, but like how profitable are you? What are you actually making after the revenue settles and you've got all your admin costs and all those different things, right? And so So it just sets you up. It makes your business way more valuable for you today, and potentially if you want to exit it someday or what have you. And so it's revolutionary. It truly is. Yeah. And so, well, with that concludes our episode today. Check in with us next week for our next episode. So thanks for listening to the InfraScale Podcast, where AI finally meets trades, the shops, and the real world. If today's episode gave you something to act on or any bit of inspiration, feel free to subscribe to continue getting these episodes, or leave a review or comment down below and share it with another business owner. They probably could benefit from this information. And yeah, this is how this show, oh gosh, let me start over. So with that concludes our episode today. Thanks for listening to the InfraScale Podcast, where AI finally meets the trades, shops, and the real world. If today's episode, left you with something to act on or any bit of inspiration at all, feel free to subscribe so you continue getting our episodes every single week. And you can leave a comment down below and let us know, hey, what concerns maybe do you still have, or what did you learn today? Or leave us a review and share it with another business owner who's ready to scale without the chaos. Okay, so this show is powered by InfraScale, helping local businesses win with AI automation. See you next week.